So we are live again, and welcome to the Eclipse member meeting for December 2014. My name is Wayne Beaton. I'm the Director of Open Source Projects. With me I have Mike Milinkovich, who will be doing most of the heavy lifting today. Mike, take it away.
All right, thank you very much, Wayne. And welcome everybody to the fourth quarter members meeting. Appreciate you taking the time to either watch this live or record it later. So Wayne's given us our welcome. I'm going to do the Executive Director update. Then we'll have new member introductions from both Tyler Jewell of CodeEnvy and related to the CHE project, and new project introduction by Olaf Weinman from Bosch Software Innovations, talking about the new Vorto project, which is also quite an interesting project. And then Wayne will be wrapping it up with an overview of what's going on in the project community these days. And of course, we'll have any Q&A if there is any. All right, so here we go. So membership update. We are currently at 222 members, which is a new high watermark for that. We currently have 10 strategic members, and we have almost 1,100 committers in participating in our projects. And so that's very happy with that rate of growth. Things are looking really, really well on that front. So we're continuing to grow in our membership, and it continues to be strong there. So you can see there, if you look at our growth, you can see it's significantly higher than it has been in the past. And so welcome everybody, and we have a number of new members. Quite a few of the new members are coming in with interest in our working groups. So for example, I know that Mueller BBM and Tata both joined as because of an interest in the new Open MDM working group, and we also know that WSO2 joined because of their interest in the new CHE project. So just a quick update on the finances. This is exactly the same slide that we've been showing all year, which is that our 2014 budget is expected to be 4.3 million in revenue and 4.9 million in expense. We do expect that we'll do a little bit better than that, both a little higher in revenue and a little lower in the expenses. And so coming in, closing the year out with a little bit better than that, but we always like to have a fairly conservative budget to work towards. Now I'm going to move into the working group updates. So the first one is automotive. So the companies that are involved in the automotive working group include BMW, Bosch, Continental, Intex, and Itemus. Not too much happening with the automotive group at the moment, but there is an interesting new work package that's being proposed for a common build framework that is still under negotiation with Bosch, but hopefully that will be coming sometime soon. And we did get approval from the European organizations that are funding the Amotea for Public research project, which is a project focused on improving Eclipse support for, well, not just Eclipse, including a research program for better programming support for multiprocessor software development. Of course, they'll be using Eclipse for this, and we do expect one or more Eclipse projects to come out of this as a result. Next one is the long-term support working group update. Main things coming up is focusing on recruiting more customers, exploring the needs of some other areas. Obviously, starting with OpenMDM, we're looking towards the notion that new working group might have some interest in long-term support infrastructure. And then there's also continuing work on getting a long-term support digital certificate as well. OpenMDM is the newest of our working groups, being driven by BMW, Daimler, Mueller BBM, and Audi. So welcome all, and it's great to see this this working group off to such a great start. They do have a public mailing list, and it's interesting to follow the conversations as they just get going. But within the next little while, we're hoping to see the initial commits coming into the MDM at Web project, and get that underway. Next one this is actually not officially started yet, but we're in discussions with a number of companies that are in the power distribution platform, particularly in Germany. And it looks like Eclipse is the #1 option for the Open Consequence group. And we're hoping to get the first project proposal in December or January. Next one up is the IoT at eclipse.org. So we have a couple of new members, SMB, Litmus, and Gadget Keeper. A couple of new projects. Olaf will be talking about Vorto shortly. But another one that's quite interesting, and this is kind of a bit of a departure for Eclipse, or a bit of a new area, but the Ignite project is going to be working on a methodology for doing IoT software development, or IoT development in general. So we're pretty excited about that, and also, to be clear, very excited about Vorto. I think it's a very important and interesting project, and looking forward to Olaf's presentation shortly. We started tracking website traffic in terms of people coming to iot.eclipse.org, and as you can see, we've been steadily increasing, and with 106% in growth over the last year. And so they're very interested to follow this and see more and more interest in IoT in general, but also at specifically IoT at eclipse.org. So we're getting 370,000 unique visitors per month to that website, which is, I think, very impressive. Outreach. So this group continues to be very active. They're running a new virtual IoT meetup, which has had planning 8 webinars. There's a design challenge that's being run by a company called Element 14 that we've been collaborating with them on, specifically around getting people to build interesting things with Eclipse Smart Home. And bi-weekly Google Hangouts where they get together and chat about what's going on in IoT at Eclipse. Been quite a few speaking opportunities coming that have happened in the last little while. I've actually, by the way, in addition to those, I also did a keynote on our IoT work at Jazzun in Zurich, and another talk that was quite successful and well attended at J Maghreb in Casablanca a couple of weeks ago. And also at the Open World Forum in Paris. So there's between my personal activity, and IoT is kind of a personal hobby of mine, so it's something that I do for fun. But in addition to that, then there's been quite a few other talks at EclipseCon, and just last week at ThingMonk in London. Location Tech, next working group. So IBM, Oracle, Boundless, and Google are the steering committee members. It's been very active. Next slide will talk more about the tour. But upcoming is the Fall Open Academy. Fall Open Academy term is underway now. The winter term is gearing up, and people are starting to do recruitment of students and getting involved there. This is a great program that quite a few Eclipse and our working group projects have been taking advantage of. And thank you to Facebook for sponsoring and running such a great program. The tour, Location Tech Tour this fall has been enormously successful. We've grown it from 6 cities and 723 people up to 16 cities and over 1,200 people. Had a number of very active sponsors, and obviously an enormous amount of work went into this both from the side of Andrew Ross and the staff of the Eclipse Foundation, but also the community, obviously, to put something together of this scale in this many locations. Lots of community members got very involved in participating in this, so I think it's been a great success, both in terms of the content, but also in terms of the community building aspects to get everybody involved and working together for this tour. Science Working Group, which has one of the coolest logos we have at Eclipse. I love that logo for some reason. Steering committee members, Diamond Light Source in the UK, Oak Ridge National Lab in the US, and IBM. They had a meetup at ECE that was very successful. I heard lots of great ideas for collaboration that came out of that. They've got a live event coming up at Oak Ridge, and we've just got a new project proposal for ChemClips coming in as well. So nice to see continued activity amongst the science community and their intersection with the Eclipse community. PolarSys been quite active lately, so there's been some recent elections. So Dominique Toupin of Ericsson has been elected as the chairman of the PolarSys Working Group, and Etienne Julio was elected as the representative of the participating members. Got a new project proposal that just got posted called the Eclipse Safety Framework, which I think is pretty interesting. So if you're interested in the development of software for safety critical applications, I highly recommend that you take a look at that. And a lot of work went in to maturity assessment. This was one of the major objectives for 2014. So finishing development of the first version of the maturity assessment is something that the group has been working hard on. Airbus Helicopter joined this new steering committee member, so welcome to Airbus Helicopter. And a lot of work has also gone in the group in terms of creating and promoting solutions. So there's been some data sheets prepared and making sure that we're doing a better job of popularizing or publicizing the great work that's coming out of the PolarSys group. Okay, that's it for the working groups. Just a couple of quick comments about our conferences. The first is we had EclipseCon Europe at the beginning of November, and it was a great success. Got lots of positive feedback from both the attendees and the sponsors. We hit exactly 600 people, 600. So that's a new benchmark for EclipseCon Europe, and thanks everyone who attended. And the whole thing was just a great success and an enormous amount of fun for the community. Coming up, we have EclipseCon North America on March 9th to 12th in Burlingame, so please hold that date. We're back at Burlingame again. That's where we were last year, so we're pretty excited about the venue. I think it's a great location. The program has been announced. Thank you to the program chair, Martin Lippert from Pivotal, and the, let's just say, Flux project lead, not Flu. Little clipping there, but I just want to say thank you very much, Martin, and all the people that are on the program committee. It's an enormous amount of work to do the program, and your efforts are very much appreciated. We're going to be co-locating with Phosphor-G North America, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. And they're expecting 300 to 400 people, so we are expecting a very full, very busy event this year in March. So again, hold that date, and please join us in Burlingame. By the way, the theme days are something that I strongly encourage people to take advantage of. CDT, for example, has been doing a theme day at Eclipse for a number of years, and they've been very successful, as have the IoT and PolarSys ones as well. I believe this is the first time that we've had a science theme day and an X-Tex theme day at EclipseCon, and I think those are both great additions. They're both vibrant communities, and I think it'll be great to have those groups within the Eclipse project community get together and have an opportunity to catch up with one another and exchange what's going on in their projects. Phosphor-G is going to be co-located, so the program has been selected and announced, and registration is open. Also busily recruiting sponsors for that as well. For those of you that are interested in location-aware technologies, please plan on joining us there as well. All right, now I'm going to channel my inner Ian Scarrett and provide the marketing update on his behalf. So first up, we've updated our donation page to add a $100 level that will get you a Eclipse t-shirt. So if you're running short on t-shirts, I strongly encourage you to give the Eclipse Foundation donation. So this just went up very recently, and we'll hopefully that'll give us a nice little boost on the donation front. We've been very active on social networking sites, so we're over 10,000 followers of Eclipse Foundation on Twitter, for example, which I think is pretty impressive. Almost 10,000 members of the Eclipse group on LinkedIn, lots of participation on Facebook, and so on. So these are all very active very active social communities and great ways to keep tabs on the Eclipse community. So please join in and participate with us there. We've got over 115,000 subscribers to our newsletter, which I think is great, and we have definitely above average click rates and open rates. This whole newsletter adventure has been a great success, I think, for us, and we're very happy with the content as well. So newsletter topics, September was project quality, October getting ready for IoT, November sort of talking about some of the major new stuff coming in the Mars release. All right, and with that, Wayne, if you can introduce Tyler, and we'll do the new member introductions.
So, Tyler, I've turned the screen over to you. You can project a presentation if you'd like, or you can just speak. A 5 to 8 minute presentation, just introducing your company, your new member company, and the Che project. Over to you.
Thank you. I'm really pleased to be here. I'm just going to share my screen for everyone. And there we go. Excellent. Well, thank you, Wayne. Thank you, Mike. CodeEnvy is a relatively new company. We joined the Eclipse Foundation in Q3 of last year, and we're very excited to be here and to participate with this. This morning, I would like to speak to everyone just briefly about two things. A new set of Eclipse projects, particularly called Eclipse Cloud Development, and a little bit about my company, CodeEnvy. Some background about my company. We're 2 years old now. We started at the beginning of 2013. However, we began about 5 years ago in 2009. We were part of a French company called Exo Platform, which makes a CMS solution. And starting in 2009, some engineers within that development team had built a browser-based open social gadget widget creator, and that widget creator had become immensely popular through word-of-mouth usage. And through that word-of-mouth usage, the developers began to add support for the Java programming language, Maven, Google App Engine, and the adoption grew to well over 100,000 users of the system that was there. Starting in 2012, we put that legacy system into a sunset maintenance mode, and we began building a new system that had a highly flexible extension core at its base. And we raised some venture capital, and we became a new entity as a spinoff starting in 2013. As a company, we grew to about 49 people. Most of them are in R&D. We have a sizable R&D operation. We do most of our engineering in Europe, particularly in Ukraine and France. And we introduced that new system in October of this year and announced it when we were at EclipseCon in Europe and Germany there. It's been quite a successful launch. The reason that we are a member of Eclipse, and not just a member, but we became a strategic member of the Eclipse Foundation, was that there's a number of principles that are very important for cloud development that we believe need to be adopted in order for enterprises to adopt this technology en masse. The first principle is that the cloud development and cloud IDEs need to be as extensible as the Eclipse IDE is. There needs to be a structured framework for building plugins. Those plugins need to be licensable, and you can create anything or nothing from the IDE when you package the plugins in with the base. The second principle is that it needs to be open source so that it can be legally reviewed, it can be transparent, and there can be a development community that is established to try to create an ecosystem around improving the core along with the creation of new plugins that are there. And so with those principles, we certainly built our system to be highly extensible in this way, and then we took most of the engine and the core that is there, and we open sourced it under the EPL license, and we have made that contribution as a project called Eclipse Che. Eclipse Che itself is an engine that loads and manages plugins, and when those plugins are packaged together, it creates a highly optimized cross-browser Cloud IDE experience. The architecture is very similar to the Eclipse RCP, only the only difference is that it's for a distributed system that is for cloud development instead of desktop-based development that's there. So we made that donation in the beginning, at the end of October, and we began working with the Eclipse Foundation to move that forward. Also at EclipseCon, we announced the formation of a new top-level project called Eclipse Cloud Development. We did that in conjunction with Pivotal, IBM, and SAP. And Eclipse Cloud Development is a top-level project that is going to have the collaborations of these companies who are creating different components that are there. And it lays down a strategy for how development services will be distributed, along with the connection of a variety of clients, whether they're desktop or browser-based clients, to create more automated, decentralized workflows for developers and development. So it's our mission to recreate the market-wide success and adoption that the Eclipse IDE has experienced, but to do that for cloud development workflows that are there. A little bit about CodeEnvy, and then we'll wrap it up. The difference between CodeEnvy and the Eclipse Foundation is that we intend to donate most of our IP to the Eclipse Foundation. There's only a couple of things that we don't donate to the Eclipse Foundation, and that has to do with installers and whatnot. But the technology will be developed through the open source project, and then CodeEnvy will provide a hosted version with support and resources. And so our commercial strategy is to take the same technology that we've open sourced and then provide it in a hosted environment, and then sell RAM, which developers will need to consume in order to perform builds and runs. And then we will also provide solutions for on-premises deployment of a distributed cloud with our on-premises subscription, so people can get maintenance and support of this distributed cloud. We have tested our cloud with hundreds of thousands of concurrent users, and it's all entirely available as a SaaS or on-premises configuration that's there. I look forward to working with the community, and we're going to be coming to do outreach in the very near future. We have a plugin for CodeEnvy that allows you to integrate either Eclipse Che or CodeEnvy directly into Garrett, and we can automate the committer, contributor, reviewer workflow in a way where there's no more configuration that is involved for the setup of complex projects that have compile or run dependencies on that. So we're going to be reaching out to everyone and offering some special promotions, and we hope to automate and simplify much of the Eclipse processes that are there. So with that, we'll wrap up. I look forward to meeting everyone, having Che and Orion and Flux engaged more broadly through all of our member companies, and seeing this new evolution of cloud development come to fruition. Thank you, Wayne.
Thank you, Tyler. I will now turn it over to Olaf Weinman from Bosch Software Innovations. Pardon me, I knew. Anyway, mumble. Olaf, please go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much. I would like to give you some information about the Vorto project. I'm working for Bosch Software Innovations. Bosch Software Innovations is the software and systems house of Bosch. We have about 500 employees worldwide and locations in Berlin, Immenstadt, Stuttgart, Chicago, Palo Alto, Singapore, and also in Shanghai. The Eclipse Vorto project is about device abstraction. And first of all, I would like to show you a few scenarios that we would like to address with the Vorto project. So the stakeholders are consumers, vendors of IoT devices, vendors of IoT platforms, and also application developers. So consumers first would like to use in their IoT environment a large variety of devices, so they do not want to be restricted on specific device vendors, for example. So vendors of IoT devices would like to sell their devices, so they are interested in integrating as much as devices as possible, or as much as of their devices as possible into IoT platforms. And vendors of IoT platforms would like to include as much as devices as possible, as well as application developers. Let us go to the last two scenarios here. I have taken a small example here. There are a lot of more IoT platforms. I have taken KiwiCon, Bosch M2M, and ThingWorx, for example. And the semantic behind this picture here is these colored bubbles represent the set of devices that can be integrated on that specific platform. So, for example, device 3 is only or can only be integrated on KiwiCon. Device 5 cannot be integrated on any of these platforms, and device 2 can be integrated on all of them. So now for the Bosch M2M platform, for example, it would be very good if we could increase the size of our bubble to that red line. Then we could integrate all devices. So, but the same is true for ThingWorx, for KiwiCon, and all the other platforms. So now, if we would be able to move all the other devices into that intersection where device 2 already is, then all the devices can be integrated on all of these platforms, and thus all the requirements would be fulfilled, and that is the Vorto approach. But before I go in more detail, let me introduce the information model. An information model is an abstract representation of a device. So on the left-hand side, you can see real-world devices. On this slide here, for example, a camera and a TV. On the right-hand side, you can see abstract representations, an information model for the TV and an information model for that camera. So going in a little bit more detail here, we could say, okay, our TV has 4 components: a tuner, a display, speakers, and for example, a motion detector. Then we would have on the right-hand side in that abstract IT world 4 components in that information model, one representing the tuner, one representing the device, and so on. And we would also have some device-specific information which are not covered by such standardized function blocks. Now, if we assume that all these information models representing the devices have a specific structure which has been specified using a meta model, which is shown here in the middle left. And if we also assume that for every platform here exists a code generator which uses specific information models for creating specific drivers for that platform, then we would be able to integrate the devices on that platform. So for example, if we take device 1, then a KiwiCon code generator would use the information model that corresponds to device 1 and create out of it a KiwiCon driver. The same would be true for the Bosch code generator, but this one would generate a Bosch driver and so on. So now it's clear that in general it is not possible to generate a whole driver, but assuming that on that platforms exist some base drivers, we could generate implementations that work on top of these base drivers. And in this case, no manual interaction would be necessary, so no development effort would be necessary to integrate that device. In other cases, these code generators could generate some code fragments that could be a basis for further development. So in the end, we would have the following. Now we would have a representation for the device for KiwiCon, one for Bosch M2M and one for ThingWorx. This would move that device into that intersection. And now it can be integrated on all of these platforms. So now how can we do this? The Water project itself consists of 4 components. We have a meta model. That is what I already described shortly. The meta model describes the structure of these information models. The code generators allow to create these drivers or these representations for the specific platforms. The IoT toolset above here allows to create meta model conform information models, because it's not so easy to create an information model that corresponds to that meta model. So that tool set supports the user. And on the right-hand side, we have a repository that allows to manage and provide these information models. So these are the components. Technically, the meta information model here is based on Eclipse EMF, because EMF has a lot of features that are useful in that context where we have a meta model and instances of it. And here you can see again the information model for display is an instance of that meta model, and the information model camera is an instance of that meta model here. The IoT toolset here provides currently a DSL editor with the usual features that we would expect if we have such an editor. It provides auto-completion, syntax highlighting, and all of that stuff. But it's clear that a DSL editor more or less addresses people with IT background. So in scope of the project, it is also to create a graphical environment that allows for graphically create information models, and this one would then address business people with a much smaller IT background. We also need some kind of integration with the repository, because so in this case we can download existing information models and reuse them for creating new ones. Here you can see again the code generator concept. The IoT toolset provides an integration point where code generators can be plugged in. Here I have 2 other examples. For example, that XML code generator that creates an XML representation of an information model, and an OSGI device abstraction layer code generator, which would generate a code skeleton for an integration. Here is the information model repository described. This one will contain the information models. It is in scope of the project to implement that repository, and when the version 1.0 is ready, it will be hosted by Eclipse and will then make information models that already exist available. And here on that last slide here, you can see the project content at one glance. On the left-hand side, the repository. In the middle, the IoT toolset with an import and code generating environment. So as another example, it will be possible to import existing device representations and allow to check them into the repository, and it's then also possible to use the code generators to generate other representations out of that. Okay, that is what I wanted to show you about the Vorto project. I'm looking forward to work with the community. We appreciate any kind of feedback because we think that this project is really complex and it needs a really big community of stakeholders and developers to realize it. The initial contribution contains a meta information model, or a meta model that is currently the basis of the Bosch M2M, but it's just a starting point, and we believe it's not a solution. But we appreciate any kind of discussion and feedback, and we would be happy. Yeah, we are happy to work together with the community on this project. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Olaf. And thank you, Tyler. We're looking forward to working with the Vorto and of course the Che project as well. And the Eclipse Foundation will be providing all the assistance we can to help you bring the projects in and get everything moving. I'm going to finish up today just talking a little bit about the Eclipse project space and what's going on there. Of course, Vorto and Che are part of that, but before I get to that, to anything else, I'd like to welcome Melissa. Melissa will be helping projects and committers be successful is kind of the general job description. She'll be working as our open source project administrator. So new project teams will get to know her well. Officially or formally, her job will be to help onboard new projects and help existing projects work through our process. She's also going to be working on some documentation and lots of other things. So kind of the less formal job description is make things work. If you need to contact Melissa, there's really no new information. If you're sending email to emo@eclipse.org, she'll pick it up there. She and I actually are sharing that responsibility for now as she comes up to speed. But anyway, welcome, Melissa. The simultaneous release is trucking along quite well. We have 68 projects that have opted in, including 7 projects that are joining us for the first time this year. The actual deadline is December 19th for initial opt-in. So I'm still working with the projects to join in. So some of the projects from last year that haven't opted in will do so over the next week or so, and we'll move forward. The dates for those of you that are participating in MARS or just merely curious to see the process, December 19th, as I said, is our opt-in deadline. Projects that are participating can join the simultaneous release by that date. After that date, we require some assistance from your PMC to make sure that your projects are indeed ready. We're very careful about allowing projects join late, just because quality is, of course, a primary concern. And CQ deadline, this is more for the project members themselves. February 13th is your deadline to get a CQ in to have priority status through our process to get it out in time for the May 22nd deadline for IP log submissions. If you need an extension on that, then that would be ask us as far in advance as is possible if that's not working out. Review materials due on the 29th, which is a couple of weeks ahead of the formal release review, which will be on June 12th. Anybody who is participating in the simultaneous release needs to have, all projects need to have at least one project member. I prefer that be the project lead. Join the cross-project issues dev mailing list. I probably should have provided a link, but I guess if you've been working with Eclipse projects, you should sort of know how to find that. If you don't, send an email to me, emo@eclipse.org, and I will point you in the right direction. Tyler mentioned this. We have a new top-level project, the Eclipse Cloud Development Project. It's new top-level. We have a completed restructuring review that is on my list. Unfortunately, I haven't had a chance to address this yet. but the Orion, Flux, and Che projects will be moving into that new top level. Another new project in our pipeline, Dirigible, will be joining that top level as well. Dirigible also provides services for software development in the cloud, which is frankly pretty cool. So we're looking forward to Dirigible becoming an Eclipse project in the near term. Something that I've been working on lately, and we published something of this in the Eclipse newsletter that went out recently. There's a small group of individuals within the Eclipse community, the people that, frankly, some of the strongest contributors to Eclipse projects, project code. We got together to develop a vision for what software development will look like using Eclipse and Eclipse-based projects. Che and Orion are, of course, part of this vision. The vision is that in 3 years, Eclipse Desktop is still going to be a very important part of software developers' toolkit, but web-based tools, developer tools will also be a part of that, and developers will have a choice of using the right tools in the right place, and the ability to move from one tool to the other. We're pretty excited about this. This vision is designed as a target statement. This is what we think, how great we think things can be. Of course, this isn't something that will happen without community involvement, so we're going to be really looking for people to become involved in these projects and help us realize this vision. And of course, Java 9 is a big part of this. Maven, Gradle, JVM languages, we're pretty keen that these sort of things are going to be a big part of our future. Metrics dashboard, I've been talking about this for several quarters. We're, I believe, at a point now where we're going to declare this first phase complete in the next week or so. There's some links here. Dashboard.eclipse.org is probably the main entry point for finding out just activity on different projects, including mailing lists, Garrett, Git, Bugzilla. It's pretty interesting stuff just to see the activity of the project and presented in such a useful format. Anyway, I invite you to take a look at this if you care about the livelihood of Eclipse projects. This was a good resource. In 2015, looking forward, I'm really excited about Oomph becoming a big part of our installation and configuration process. If you've not heard about Oomph, I invite you to take a look at eclipse.org/Oomph to find out more about that. You will notice over the next few months that we will have Oomph-based installers, probably installer singular, featuring very prominently on our development downloads page, the sort of the Mars preview downloads. We'll start there. In 2015, I'm also keen to revise the Eclipse development process. I have some ideas. I'll be starting that conversation early in the new year with the Architecture Council, pushing to try and get something done probably in and around the Mars release date. I'd rather not mix things up too much while we're doing the simultaneous release. There will be more committer orientations and boot camps. We've started doing committer orientations. I tend to make these invitation only, pick up new committers that are just joining us and invite them to a private orientation. We're going to make these a little bit more public, let me gain a little bit more experience using Hangout, which will be valuable all around. The boot camps are a little bit more involved. We've developed a habit of delivering these at EclipseCons, and I'd like to continue doing that. We're going to run a boot camp, I believe, at this point on the Sunday ahead of EclipseCon. So if you're a new committer or planning to be a new committer, if you can consider that as part of your scheduling for flights. A big part of 2015 is getting the code from Che into it and into Eclipse and making Che be a real project. It is a project right now, and we're excited about the prospect of it getting some love. And some improvements in the project management interface, including some significant look and feel improvements being done by our own Eddie with the Webmaster Group. Project lead and committer elections are in the will be in the PMI. Actually, project lead elections are already there. And some new IP log management tools, which actually do IP log management and submission through IPzilla, which we're pretty excited about. That'll make things a little bit easier to manage. Some reminders for Eclipse projects. Please keep your project metadata up to date. We use this to tell people about your projects. Having the converse of that is if you are not an Eclipse project team and you're interested in finding out about projects, the PMI, if you go to projects.eclipse.org, that's a great way to find out about Eclipse projects. Likewise, we have similar resources for Location Tech and PolarSys. If you go to locationtech.org/projects or polarsys.org/projects, you can find out information about the projects. Please ensure in your metadata release dates are up to date. Clean up your downloads area. Remember, most important, I guess, is that contributions by non-committers do require a CLA. Please keep that in mind. And if you have any problems, please contact your project lead, your mentors, your PMC, or me or Melissa, I guess, at emo@eclipse.org. With that, we do have this open for questions, but the question channel that we offered was wayne@eclipse.org, and so far I haven't seen any incoming questions, and I see nothing on Twitter. So, Mike, do you have something to add?
Just to close it off, just want to thank everybody who's watching, either live or recorded. Appreciate the time, and just wanted to say that 2014 was a really great year for the Eclipse Foundation and the Eclipse community, and I'm looking forward to 2015. And happy holidays, everybody, and hope that you have a great break with your family over the holidays. And with that, Wayne, thanks a lot, and I guess we're done.